Journey to the West, an audio drama series. Chapter 26. Part 1. We speak of great immortal Zheng Yuan, who seized Xingzhe with his hand and said, "I know what you are capable of. I've heard of your good reputation, but this time you discarded all of your manners and honesty. Even with your brilliant ways, you will not escape from my hands. I can argue with you all the way to West Heaven and go see that Buddha of yours, and you still won't get away without bringing back my Renshen fruit tree. Don't you play tricks." Xingzhe laughed and said, "Dear sir, how very petty you are. What is so difficult about bringing the tree back to life? Had you told me earlier, wouldn't we have spared ourselves all this fighting?" The great immortal said, "Without the fight, how could I so easily forgive you?" Xingzhe said, "How about you untie my master and I give you back a living tree?" The great immortal said, "If you truly have the divine powers to revive the tree, I will form the bond of 8 boughs with you and become sworn brothers." Xingzhe replied, "That's not important. Just release them and Elder Sun is bound to return a living tree back to you." The great immortal knew he wasn't able to get away, so he immediately ordered for Sanzang, Bajie, and Shamak to be released. Shamak said, "Oh, master, I wonder what the hell elder brother is doing." Bajie said, "To hell with what he is doing. It's the hell of pleading for favor. If the tree is dead, how could he possibly revive it? He makes the whole thing look rather neat, while he uses the search for a cure as an excuse to go on his own way. Like he would care about you and I." Sanzang said, "He certainly dares not leave us behind. Let's ask him where he will seek the cure." He then called, "Wukong, how did you manage to coax the immortal elder into setting us free?" Xingzhe answered, "Elder Sun was telling the truth. What do you mean by coaxing?" Sanzang asked, "Where will you find the cure?" Xingzhe said, "As the ancients said, cures come from the seas. I will head out to the Great East Sea and travel across the 3 islands and 10 continents, visiting all the immortal men and divine elders to find a way to bring the dead back to life. I promise I will revive his tree." Sanzang asked, "How long before you can return from this trip?" Xingzhe answered, "Only 3 days." Sanzang said, "If so, then do as you suggested. I will give you 3 days as the limit. Return within 3 days and all will be fine. Should you not come back after 3 days, I will just recite that spell." Xingzhe said, "As you ordered, as you ordered." Look at him, hurriedly tidying his tiger skin skirt before coming out of the gate to say to the great immortal, "Worry not, sir, for I will be right back. You, however, shall take good care of my master with 3 servings of tea and 6 servings of food every single day, and not a single serving shall be skipped. Otherwise, I will settle the account with you once I return. The bottom of your pot will be the first thing I break. If his clothes get dirty, wash them for him. Should he look a little paler, I will not accept it. Should he go a little skinnier, I will not leave your doors." The great immortal said, go now, I promise I won't let him go hungry." Splendid Monkey King. Swiftly unleashing his somersault cloud, he bid farewell to the Wuzhuang Temple and came straight to the East Seas. In mid-air, he traveled fast as lightning and quick as a meteor. Soon he arrived at the immortal realm of Penglai. He came down from his cloud to have a closer look. What a fine destination indeed. Penglai Mountain, or Penglai Island, is the name of a legendary realm in the East Seas believed to be the home of deities. Xingzhe could barely take in all the divine scenery before he entered the realm. As he was walking, he saw that outside the White Cloud Cave and below the shadow of pines were 3 old men playing weiqi. The sole audience was Shouxing, Star of Longevity, while the 2 players were Fuxing, Star of Happiness, and Luxing, Star of Wealth. Xingzhe went up and called out, "Greetings, little brothers." The 3 stars saw him and put away the game board to return the gesture, asking, "Where did you come from, great sage?" Xingzhe answered, "I came specially to have some fun with you." Star of Longevity said, "I heard the great sage has left Taoism for Buddhism and is now devoting your life to protecting the Tang monk on his way to West Heaven for scriptures. You should be moving through mountainous roads every day. Where did you find the time to come play with us?" Xingzhe explained. To be very honest with you all, Elder Sun was on my way to the west when I ran into some obstacles. I came specially to bother you with some small matters. I wonder if you're willing to entertain. Star of Happiness asked, Where are you stuck? What obstacle is that? Pray give us clear directions so we can make up our minds. Xingzhe answered, I was stuck going through Wuzhuang Temple on the Infinite Longevity Mountain. The three old men exclaimed in shock. Wuzhuang Temple is the immortal palace of great immortal Zhen Yuan. Could it be that you stole and ate his renshen fruit? Xingzhe laughed and said, How much could stealing the fruit for food even cost? The three old men said, You, monkey, have no idea of what is good and bad. Merely smelling that fruit will give you 360 years of life. Eating it allows you to live up to 47,000 years. It's referred to as infinite longevity grass pellet of reversion. Our ways and powers are not as great as his. It's quite easy for him to obtain them and share longevity with heaven. We still have to cultivate the spirit, balance our internal alchemy, and put in who knows how much effort. How could you say that his fruit is not worth much? There is only one magical root of its kind in this world. Xingzhe said, Magical root, I already gave him the broken root. The three old men asked in astonishment, What do you mean by broken root? Xingzhe therefore gave a detailed account of what took place, explaining in the end, He realized he could not capture me, so there was some fear. It was I who said nice words to him and had him release my master and younger brothers while I go revive his tree. That's how the two parties made peace. I was just thinking that since cures come from the seas, I would travel specifically to this immortal realm and visit you three little brothers. If you have any cure for the tree, please pass it on to me. I urgently need it to save the tangmuk from suffering. The three stars heard this and felt quite distraught at heart, saying, You, monkey, have no recognition of whom you are dealing with. Zhen Yuanzi is the patriarch of all earthly immortals, while we are the chiefs of all divine immortals. Even though you have become a heavenly immortal, you're still unappointed and outside the true ranks. How could you possibly escape from his hands? If the great sage kills some walking beast, flying birds, bugs, or the scaled, it will only take our rice-sized pellets to bring them back to life. That renshen fruit grows from the root of an immortal plant. How could we cure it? There is no cure. No cure. Xingzhe heard there was no cure and began frowning, forming many folds on his forehead. Star of Happiness asked, Great sage, if there is no cure here, there might be one elsewhere. Why be so troubled? Xingzhe answered, To head elsewhere when there is no cure here is easy. Even if I had to travel to the edges of the world and through the 36 layers of heaven, it's not a big deal. It's only that elder tongue of mine has strict commandments and a narrow mind. He gave me only 3 days as the limit. If I don't make it back after 3 days, he will recite that tightening band spell. The three stars laughed and said, Good. If there wasn't such a way to keep you in control, you would dash through heaven again. Star of Longevity said, Calm down, great sage. There is no need to worry. The Grey Immortal may be a senior to us, but we do know each other. It's been a while since we last saw him, and there hasn't been any visit. Moreover, it's for the sake of the great sage. The three of us should now head over together to pay him a visit and convey your concerns to him. We will tell the tangmuk to not recite the tightening band spell. Speak not of 3 or 5 days. We will only leave after you have returned with a cure. Xingzhe replied, I am deeply grateful. Please set out my 3 little brothers. I will be on my way. And so the great sage bid farewell to the 3 stars. We will speak no more on that. We instead turn to the 3 stars who ascended on their auspicious cloud and headed for Wuzhuang Temple. The people inside the temple suddenly heard the cry of cranes from the skies. It turned out to be the 3 elders arriving. Filling the air with auspicious light, they arrived amidst colorful mist and clouds. Legendary birds accompanied them as they smiled like children. Strong were their bodies and much blessing they brought about. The 3 elders have come to visit the Grey Immortal, and the joy is boundless. The immortal youth saw them and hurried inside to report. Master, the 3 stars on the seas have arrived. 郑元子 was just having a casual chat with Tang Monk and his younger disciples. When he heard the news, he immediately went down the steps to welcome them. 八戒 saw the Star of Longevity, so he approached to seize him, saying between laughter, "You meat-headed old man, it's been a while since I last saw you. How very carefree you still are without bringing even a hat." And so he took off his own monk hat and plopped it on the star's head before clapping and roaring with laughter. "Splendid, splendid, splendid. 'Tis the case of capped with a race." Here, 八戒 is taking certain actions that lead to well-meaning puns at the expense of the gods. Star of Longevity threw away the hat and scolded. "Foolish thing, you really have no sense of hierarchy." 八戒 said, "I am no foolish thing, but you people sure are slaves." Star of Happiness asked, "How are you not a foolish thing? How dare you call other people slaves instead?" 八戒 chuckled and said, "If you're not someone's slaves, why call yourselves added longevity, added happiness, and added wealth?" In the old days, wealthy families often give well-meaning but very down-to-earth names to their servants. The combination of the character 添 meaning to add with a positive noun is one popular example. Hence the joke here. 三藏 ordered 八戒 to move away before hastily tidying his clothes to greet the 3 stars. The 3 stars paid their respect to the Great Immortal as his juniors before each were seated. Once they sat down, the Star of Wealth said, "We've long missed your honorable presence and lacked in showing our respect. Now, due to how great sage Sun stirred trouble in your immortal mountain, we have come specially to see you." The Great Immortal asked, "So Sun Xingzhe went to Penglai?" Star of Longevity answered, "He did. Because he heard the Great Immortal's magical tree, he came to us for a cure. But we have none, so he left to look for it elsewhere. His only fear was that he would break the 3-day promise with the divine monk and that the tightening ban spell would be recited. We therefore came first to pay you a visit and also to plead for leniency." 三藏 heard this and said repeatedly, "I won't recite it, I won't." Just as they were talking, 八戒 once again came inside and seized the Star of Happiness for a treat. He fumbled into the star's sleeves and grabbed around his waist, searching for things in his clothes without stopping. 三藏 smiled and said, "What sort of manners is that, 八戒?" 八戒 explained, "It's not bad manners, but what we call fine happiness at every turn." 三藏 ordered him out again. The fool stumbled out the door while still fiercely glaring at the Star of Happiness. Star of Happiness said, "Fool, where did I offend you that you are this upset with me?" 八戒 explained, "I am not upset with you. This is what we call turn around and see happiness." The fool left the door before he saw a youth with 4 teaspoons on his way to collect utensils and treats so as to serve tea. He snatched the spoons from the youth before running into the main hall to grab a small chime stone. Knocking at it wildly with his hands, he played around the place. The Great Immortal said, "This monk is getting more and more disrespectful." 八戒 laughed and said, "This is not disrespectful, but a pun meaning happiness through all 4 seasons." Here, both the characters for time and spoon can be pronounced the same way, and the term hitting the chime or 击磬 happen to sound similarly to 吉庆, meaning happiness. We thus conclude 八戒's game of puns and will speak no more on that.